marriage is important. Even though I felt called to move in a different direction in my life as the Franciscans, you may know we don't get married. That doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it and I'm not grateful for it. And hopefully, life of consecrated celibacy, chastity, pays tribute to that beauty. And I sense that this is one of the things, if we can read between the lines of the experience of today's gospel, of the perseverance, both in my particular vocation, our vocation as friars, and perseverance of those in married state. And I preach to you today as a son of a divorced couple. My parents were divorced when I was 5 years old. I didn't have a lot of choice in the matter, and I think it was the right choice for my mom. It wasn't easy. It was a struggle, and there were some reasons for it. I won't get into all the details. So I recognize the scriptures must be calling us to honor one of the holiest people that I know, my mom, and yet to say that there's some value, that the importance of marriage needs to be acknowledged and recognized in a way that we recognize Jesus' teaching today on Christian marriage and what it really means, and what the way that my mom dealt with it was that even after that divorce she remained single, and it was her idea that she and her fidelity to the covenant that she entered into, even though it wasn't shared, was important for her and for my dad, even though that was some difficulties. And so she found a way to remain faithful to that covenant, even in the midst of it. I won't say that that's the best choice for everybody. Maybe it was hers, and I honor it. So we ask today God, who is teaching us something here about our faith and the importance of the sacrament of matrimony, to see and honor. And maybe we've got some experiences of a couple or a few couples in our own lives that really are nurturing for us. Being in their presence is so life-giving, and we want more time with them because of the way that they've embraced this sacrament and continue to live it out in their lives. And I sense that that's what we're trying to honor today, not to belittle anybody that maybe had to make that choice in their lives, but to distance it from what I think Jesus is acknowledging and being tested by the Pharisees, that it could also lead to arrogance. And that's, I sense, part of this experience, that would never be a reason to break this bond that is formed and fleshed by God. So we have that invitation as he's being tested here, because it seems that the Pharisees kind of knew the answer to the question. They were trying to trip him up. But what they didn't expect him to do was to go back to the source, to Genesis and the words that he quotes from there, and saying, okay, that's maybe what Moses did because of the hardness of your hearts, but this is the true teaching and the one that we're called to live out in our lives as best we can, obviously with God's grace. So just as, I hope, the celibate calling that I've embraced witnesses to the resurrection of Jesus Christ, present and active now, because in the kingdom they neither marry nor are given in marriage. That's what I think that testifies to, and I hope becomes a witness of my life and our life, so that the marriage covenant then becomes a witness to that same fidelity of God's faithfulness to us. That's one of the witnesses. And married love, according to the marriage covenant and the prayers of the marriage sacrament, is a forgiving love. So it's the sign of God's fidelity to us and to the church, and a witness to God's forgiveness. And that's why it's so essential, even though obviously perhaps our own lives have been touched in a way that looked a bit different. So we ask God to continue to help us value and honor and nurture and prepare people for the sacrament of marriage in a way that might continue to lead us into that trust in God's faithfulness and fidelity and forgiveness, because we see it lived out in their very flesh.